This program, you're going to be responsible for deciding when to add sets to individual exercises. Okay, so volume is your most powerful driver of hypertrophy, but it's going to be built up at different rates in different programs. So for instance, in the hypertrophy phases, we're going to be looking to add sets more assertively and build up to higher volumes than we are during the mini cut phases and cutting phases, when we're just looking to do just enough work in order to maintain muscle we've already built. Okay, so when it comes to deciding when to add sets or when to stick with what you're already doing, we're going to look at three factors, okay, or three things that are going to decide whether or not to increase the volume of work you're doing for an individual exercise. And that is going to be, was that muscle group fully recovered by the time you next came to train it? Okay, so for instance, if my quads were still sore for session 2 of legs after session 1, I wouldn't be looking to increase volume on the quad exercises in that session 1 the following week. Okay. Secondly, with that recovery aspect, you've got your general feeling of fatigue. If you're feeling absolutely exhausted, we probably wouldn't be looking to add sets to maybe anything, or if we are adding sets, we probably look to add to isolation exercises rather than the compound exercises that are going to make that fatigue accumulate even more quickly. Okay? Your second determinant of whether or not it's a good idea to add sets is going to be performance. Okay? So obviously you are filling in your rep results. If your rep results on average exceed the rep target for that exercise, then you would potentially be looking at increasing your sets for that exercise the following week. Okay, so just a quick one on how to figure out an average. If you're unsure, you would simply add up the total of your rep totals, okay, and then divide by the number of sets you've done. So for instance, if I did 11 and 9, okay, for 2 sets, I would add those up, divide by 2, so I'd get 20 divided by 2. That's an average of 10. So if my rep target was 10, I could be looking to potentially increase sets on that exercise the following week. The third thing we have to consider when deciding whether or not to add a set is going to be your rep allowance for that week. Okay, so on your setup page of your program, you're going to have the number of sets you're looking to add per session per week, and you're going to have your maximum sets per exercise. So both of those are going to be different according to what phase you are in, whether it's hypertrophy or whether it's cutting. But in general, you'll usually only be looking to add anywhere between 0 and 2 sets per session per week. Okay, so when it comes to deciding what you should add sets to, if you've got the set allowance, you look at your recovery and your performance, and then if you've got multiple exercises that are ticking those boxes, you're going to look at the needs of your physique. If I'm looking to specifically emphasize my chest, then on upper body day, if I've got chest exercises that are meeting those prior requirements, those first 2 factors, I might be looking to add towards the chest. If I'm looking to add volume fairly equitably, so I'm looking to build everything, or if I'm doing a cutting phase where I'm less likely to be trying to emphasize a muscle group, then I'd be looking to keep the set numbers fairly constant. So for instance, if my back exercises I've built up to 3 sets per exercise, but my chest exercises are at 2, then I might be looking to add to the chest exercises the following week if I've got that volume available. Okay, so it isn't a prerequisite to always be driving volume up, and you need to be mindful that it's very important you are able to hit the required intensity target. If you push up your sets too quickly, you may find it hard, both physically and mentally, to hit the RIR targets. You know, if you're doing 1 RIR and you've got 7 sets of leg press, there's a good chance that you're not going to hit that required threshold. So don't be too enthusiastic with upping your sets, but they do need to be trending up across the weeks, particularly in those hypertrophy programs.